Welcome to a gloomy day here on Pangea, and we meet up with our Stegosaurus friends here in the desert. They have just started on their long quest across said desert to get to the rich vegetation on the other side. Now, it does look a bit different from when we last saw them, because, well, it has been a little bit, so the seasons have changed, and, well, spring has sprung, although we are expecting snow in the next couple days, but that's beside the point. Right now, it's about the Stegosaurs and their quest across the desert. But alas, it is not always that simple, because you might always meet some familiar foes along the way. Now, the pair of allosaurs has been stalking the herd ever since they took their first victim. But they are not satisfied, for these two species are known for not getting along. They were around in the same time period, after all, so they are bound to have some history. Now, while the juvenile is still very ambitious about getting his kill, he has learned a bit since we last saw him, and he knows not to just run in there and attempt to get some sort of meal. He knows now that if he wants to actually get something, he'll need to wait until the perfect moment to strike. The Stegosaurs are still on somewhat high alert after what happened last time, so the allosaurs know not to attack now because, well, that might cause a stampede, and, well, then all of their food would just be gone. So until that perfect moment strikes, they will be wandering ever so close. But before we get to that perfect moment, and so that I don't bore you for 10 minutes of basically just this, why don't we explore a bit more of the island, since the only place we've really seen is the desert so far. Welcome to the Triassic Zone, with our first species, Oviraptor. Now I know what you're thinking, Oviraptor, well, that's a late Cretaceous dinosaur. What's he doing here in the Triassic Zone? Well, upon further examination, there aren't really zones. As you can see, this Cretaceous dinosaur is hanging out in the Triassic Zone, which, well, with our last theory would be just completely incorrect. So we've just figured that it's a free island and anyone can go wherever they want. And, well, that appears to be the case with this Oviraptor. Now, this Oviraptor appears to be rather special. If you'd look at his arm, you would see that it's, well, basically missing. This must be because of a battle that he got into. Well, maybe we'll learn more about that in the future, but for now it appears he's just looking for food. When suddenly, he sees something to the west. It is a Therizinosaurus, a very large omnivore from the Triassic period. Now, the Oviraptor is very hungry. He knows not to mess with a creature of such size compared to his, so he's just gonna go amongst his business and hopes that the Therizinosaur will do the same. Now, Oviraptor was a scavenger after all, so he'll eat almost anything he can get his hands on. And it appears that he has found a possible prey item. A very young baby Triceratops, perhaps almost newborn. It appears that it has wandered from its nest and from the rest of its herd. This will make a sufficient meal for a predator of his size. It somehow does not notice him, even though he's rather brightly colored, but he assumes that this is the perfect time to strike. But before he can do anything to the baby, a noise comes from around the mountain. It is the mother of the baby Triceratops, and she is not very happy with the actions of this Oviraptor. Now, he may know not to mess with the Therizinosaurus, but to an angry Triceratops, he definitely knows better. And he goes away. He goes back into the marsh. Maybe he can find some dead fish under the water. He begins to dig. Then, when he looks up, he notices that he had the same idea as the therizinosaur he noticed earlier. Perhaps it isn't the best idea to lurk around in his territory any longer. So he leaves for good. Meanwhile, back at the desert, we meet up with the stegosaurs again, and they have reached a very muddy area, and they appear to be taking a rest. Now, any young stegosaur knows that you are definitely not allowed to rest unless the alpha male says so. And, well, it appears that he has said so because they don't appear to be moving very fast at all. But who is moving rather quickly are the allosaurs. They have been inching closer and closer to their prey, still not yet being able to attack. They think now might be a perfect moment, but then all of a sudden, a huge Dilophosaurus knocks over one of the juveniles. The herd is terrified and startled, and they run off. The baby appears to be left for dead, when all of a sudden, it breaks free, and he goes to join the rest of his herd. The Dilophosaurus is very angry, but he knows not to chase them, because, well, they're probably long gone at this point. But he looks to his right, and he realizes that he was not alone. The allosaurs. They have been hunting the stegosaurs for, well, since the beginning, and any carnivore should know not to mess with another's food.